So what are we doing this week? Well, from the looks of all of this, I think you can tell we're going to sit and wait for a lot of paint to dry. Stay tuned and see what these pieces are and what we're doing with them. All right, we're going to start out today by putting together our brackets for a roof. The roof brackets are, in a real house, they would be supporting the roof. Obviously on the dollhouse, they're just looking like they're supporting the roof. But basically, we're going to end up with a piece that looks like this, with this edge, these two pieces being a straight line. Each one of those consists of these two pieces. This glues on here, this glues on here. I seem to be all butterfingers today. I keep dropping things. It's going to glue on like this, and to do that, I made myself a little kind of a gluing jig. This will help me to hold and get a straight line there. And I've got my glues. I'll try putting my super glue on here this time. I, for some reason, cannot get this filmed today. Oh, come on. What the heck? There. Now, the more angled end goes in the wood glue. I've got glue off to the side there. You can probably see it in the camera. And then this, I mean, this is so easy to do, and yet I cannot seem to get it filmed. There. It needs to be centered. And that's really all there is to it. And what I've been doing is letting the glue dry for a little bit, and then going back and wiping off any wood glue that seeped out. There. Let's see if I can get one more made on camera. Hopefully I can do this so that you can see it. I like using the two glues because it does help it to hold together, because the wood glue does take a while to get set. There we go. That one went together much easier. And like I said, when they get about half dry or so, then I go back and I wipe off any excess glue so they look like this. And so I'm going to finish these when they're all dry. The glue's all set up and dry. I will come back and I'll show you how they look. All right, so these pieces have dried overnight, and now it's time to attach them to their caps. Now in the kit, there are two sets of caps. There are 49-degree bracket caps, which we have here. We have 10 of those. And then we have 4 of 35. So we're going to do 5 of them angled, just like I've done this one. I did that one off camera just so I knew what I was doing. So I'm going to dip those pieces that we had to keep lined up yesterday. So I put glue there. Now I'm going to line this up so that the right angle's that way, and I slide this right up and line it up. So I need 5 of them like this. It's this portion that's going to go onto the dollhouse roof. So I need 5 just like this. And I decided not to do the super glue on these because I tried and I managed to glue my thumb to it, and I did need to do some adjusting on them after I got them put together. There we go. So let's get 2 more. I don't want to turn this off and then start again because I've got glue all over my fingers. All right. So I'm being careful to line up this with this so that those are lined up. Now there's our 5 that go that way. And once again, I will come back later and wipe my glue off. Now we need 5 that go the other way. So I am going to now go this way. And when they go under the roof, this part goes under the roof. I was thinking this one under the roof, but this actually goes against the house, so they go this way. So, right, I am going to, I guess I'll just continue. Feel free to fast forward through this mess if you want to. All right, just a couple more. All right, well, you probably get the idea. I am going to turn the camera off so I can get my head over these, make sure they're straight, and then I will do the 4 like this, and then I'll come back and show you how they look. All right, those are all glued together now, and that glue needs to set up just like on the other pieces, the other part of this. I'll let the glue get about half dried, then I'll come back and clean up any big glue drips rather than trying to do it while they're wet and they want to fall apart. So these need to set aside to dry. Let's move on to working with the front door of the dollhouse. All right, let's take a look at our front door. I had debated whether I wanted to paint the door the same white trim color, if I want an accent color. I think I'm just going to go with the white. So the door comes with everything you need except a doorknob, which I will need to go find. Don't lose any of the pieces. Now, in order to paint this, we need to take out the hinge pin. The hinge pin is right here, and it'll make painting the door so much easier. See if I can get a hold of it. There. Now, we don't want to lose this. We also don't want to get paint on this bottom area because it won't fit in the slot very well then. So, this trick is actually in the instructions, but it's also something I've done for years, even when it wasn't in the instructions. I just glue it, I just tape it down there. Now, that tape serves 2 purposes. It holds my hinge pin for my door right there, and it tapes off the part I don't want to get paint on. So that is now ready for painting. Oops, we got, and this one, whoops. Tape that one on separately. Because you don't want to lose those 2 little hinge pins. Those are really important. All right, so that's there. Now, take out our glass. Our glass has a protective sheet on it. We're going to put this off to the side. I'm just going to put it back in the little package that it was in. And now, all our door pieces are ready to paint. I will probably go over a little bit with some really fine sandpaper because there's some little bits of wood there that I want to get off. But it's a really good quality door, so it's ready to go. So those are ready. Now we need to build our window frames. So that's what we'll do next. All right, now we're going to assemble our windows. So I already did one window off camera just so I could make sure I knew what was going on. Each window has some pieces. It has, these are for the outside window, and they're this shape. They look really nice. And then we have our inside window trim, and we have some dividers. And the other thing you need to find in your kit are the spacer pieces. We're going to use those too. Now, I'm not doing this entirely the way the instructions say, partially because for one step they had you use a rubber band to hold it together. I literally don't have any rubber bands in the house, but I'm doing it with my square, and my first one turned out just fine, so I'm not concerned. Now, I used my Legos and I made a square, a corner. And in fact, I've got 2 of them here. So what we need to do is we need to, I'm going to do it this way. We're going to build our pieces. We're going to build one like this, and then then we'll do one this side, and then we'll put them together. So the way I've been doing this, I'm dipping it into my wood glue. I've got wood glue here off to the side. Don't get too much, and it's best if you have a little space because we're going to use some super glue. And be careful with your super glue. While I was doing that window, I actually glued my tube of super glue onto my finger because I found out it had a leak in it. All right, I'm using this corner to make sure that my corner is straight. There it is. Now let's see if I can get this one also done at the same time. A little super glue off to the corner. That super glue just helps everything to set up quickly so it doesn't shift on you. It's not an absolute necessity, it just makes it a little easier. Make sure that is all square and all the edges are together tight, and I'm going to let this set up. When this is set up for a while, then I'll come back and we'll put the two halves together. Alright, the glue is not completely dry, but it's set up enough I can work with it, and if I need to adjust, it's got enough give to it, I should be able to adjust. And my glue that I put out earlier is still soft. I like to dip into my glue rather than trying to put it on with the bottle. I guess I'll have to use a toothpick though. Little drop of super glue on each end. Alright. I'm just going to slide these in place. Get everything matched up. And now we are going to let this dry completely before we go to the next step. So for our next step for this window, we need to put in these two upright divider pieces in our window. And to get those in right, we need to use our little spacers that are provided. So we put those in here, and we dip that in the glue. I test fitted them so I know they'll fit. This is the way this goes, right? Hold on. Oops, I forgot one thing. This needs to be turned over. That's right. I knew I was forgetting something. We want this window turned over so that those are lining up with the inside edge, not the outside edge. Okay, not a problem. I caught it in time. I knew something didn't look right. Off camera, I'll make sure I get all that glue off of there. Now, this over here. A little of that off, so I've got a space for my super glue. By using these little spacers, and we know that our dividers in our window are going straight up and down. Now, I'm going to flip this around. I will clean up the extra glue off camera, no use to waste your time with that. We're going to do the inside window trim. For this one again, I'm going to basically do the same thing. We're going to use our little Lego piece there and get our corners nice and square. Make sure everything's laying flat. Wrong way. Almost did that very wrong. I like to do this all four corners at once on this one because they're so thin it's hard to get them backed up against the square I made. Get this all done so everything's nice and square, and then take these over. Make sure those are square. All right. Get the extra glue wiped off. And then all right, now this stuff just needs to dry completely. And then I think our next step will be to do some priming and painting. So I'll see you when it's time to do that. All right, I did some prep work off camera. I made sure that my window pieces were exactly the way that I want them put together. All the frames they're square, they're the right size, they fit in the window openings, they're ready to go, they're ready to be painted. And I've laid them along with all the pieces to the door out. I have fixed 2 trays for my baking pans for my kitchen with parchment paper so I can have this very portable. And then I have my new clay working ceramic tile covered with masking tape and all the little pieces. Today we are going to prime and then paint with the trim color the door pieces, the window pieces, and these exterior roofing trimmy pieces. And that's probably all we'll get done today because it's going to take me a while to get all painted. I'm not going to bore you with all of this painting. Obviously, you know how to paint. You've been around miniatures. You've seen me paint in the past. I have a variety of brushes. I have my primer here, and everything's ready to go. So basically, all I'm going to do is paint everything with the primer. And like I said, I'm not going to bore you. I will, but this way I've got everything held down. Now, key, especially on this door trim, very light coats. We don't want to cover up the details on these pieces of wood. We have grooves cut into this trim work. We need to keep those. We need to make sure that we don't have any globs or drips, because remember, everything is magnified by 12. So what may be acceptable on a real life construction in miniature is not. So I am going to turn the camera off. I'm going to start painting. I'm going to paint the sides that are up right now with my primer. When they're dry, I'll come back and I'll show you how that all looks. All right, I've got the camera kind of zoomed in. I'm going to show you, I don't know if the camera's picking it up or not, but there's some roughness like in this little channel here in the groove. And that's because primer, paint, water, anything wet coming in contact with your wood can raise the grain and make it look kind of messy and rough and shaggy looking. So I'm just going to take some sandpaper and I'm going to run the sandpaper down through that groove and smooth that out. And I'm going to go over all of my pieces. And if I do have to do that, then I'm going to take a dry cloth and just kind of dust them off. You can even use a paintbrush to help you get any of the pieces of sand or pieces of loose wood that are on your wood off. And I'm going to go through all of my pieces, do that, and then I'll be back. All right, now that everything is smoothed out, I am going to take my trim paint. And once again, I'm not going to bore you by showing you every bit of painting. But after one coat of primer, now that that's all on and dry, I'm going to come in and just start painting my pieces with one coat of the trim color. Now, I'm not concerned, for the most part, the parts that are taped down here are going to be glued against the house. The only part that might show is there's one small piece of these rafter ends that might show, and I'll just coat those with primer and paint once they're installed. I'd prefer to be able to glue the raw wood to the wood on the house. So I am just going to go through and paint all of these pieces with a nice coat of my trim color. And when that's done and dry, I'll come back and check in with you.